It wasn't the gentle thrum of the morning traffic that woke me, but a sound like the sky tearing itself in half. What in God's name was that? I stood paralyzed on my driveway, gazing at the impossible. The smoking tail end of a small Cessna jutting out of the crater where my sunroom used to be, and the main conflict, unbelievably, started not with the fire chief, but with a text message from Brenda, the Homeowners Association president, demanding I halt all activity until she could schedule an architectural review. A sharp, involuntary gasp escaped my chest, mixed with the sickeningly sweet, synthetic smell of jet fuel and pulverized gypsum. My beloved home, the place where my kids took their first steps, was a disaster site, and this woman was worried about curb appeal. I remember the sound of the emergency sirens wailing, a stark counterpoint to the quiet, almost surreal hiss of smoldering wreckage. The insurance adjuster, a kind man named Frank who had seen it all, just sighed deeply when I showed him Brenda's text. "Are you kidding me right now?" he mumbled, running a weary hand through his hair. That was the raw feeling of the next few weeks. The constant, gut-wrenching absurdity of having your world literally crash down, only to be badgered by the queen of bylaws. Brenda, of course, was Karen personified, a woman who wielded the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, CC and RS, like a medieval war axe. She didn't offer sympathy. She offered fines. Within 3 days, I received a certified letter from the Palmetto Ridge Community Association, demanding immediate removal of unauthorized debris and non-conforming structural elements. Unauthorized debris? My house was unauthorized debris. The stress was a physical weight, pressing down on my shoulders, making every breath feel shallow. I could taste the metallic tang of stress in my mouth all day long. My neighbor, bless her heart, brought over a lasagna, whispering, "She's just jealous, Alex. You know her husband was passed over for the Homeowners Association treasurer role." It was the perfect, petty, secondary twist to this nightmare. A personal vendetta masked as community governance. I was living out of a temporary rental, watching the slow, painful process of demolition, when Brenda escalated. She filed a cease and desist order with the county, claiming my initial plans to rebuild, a standard 2-story colonial, identical to 3 others on the street, violated a newly interpreted aesthetic harmony clause. Her lawyer, a slick man with a perpetually condescending half-smile, argued that since the original structure was destroyed by an unforeseen external force, any replacement constituted a new build, thus requiring total compliance with the newest, most restrictive design guidelines. Where does it end? Do I need permission to breathe in my own yard? I remember screaming that into the phone to my own attorney. "Daniel, he just told me to save my energy. We'll let the judge handle the hysterics, Alex. This is a clear case of malice." The air in the courtroom felt stale, thick with the scent of old paper and nervous energy. Brenda sat at the opposing table, spine perfectly straight, giving me a look that suggested I was the criminal for having the audacity to own property. When Daniel presented the facts, that my house was destroyed by an FAA-regulated aircraft, a clear act of God, and that delaying reconstruction was causing undue financial and emotional hardship, Brenda's lawyer leaned in, confident as ever. He argued, voice dripping with self-importance, that the sanctity of the HOA's bylaws must be protected, even against catastrophe. The CC and RS state, Your Honor, that any structural modification or reconstruction must first pass through a full architectural committee review. The cause of destruction is irrelevant. The necessity of control is paramount. My heart hammered against my ribs, a loud, frantic drumbeat that I was sure everyone could hear. This was it. Was bureaucracy really going to win against common sense? Daniel stood up for the rebuttal, but the judge, Judge Eleanor Vance, raised a hand to silence him. She was an older woman, spectacles perched low on her nose, and she looked utterly unimpressed. She gazed directly at Brenda, who was practically vibrating with self-righteousness. There was a pause so long that I thought I might pass out. I heard the muffled sound of a chair scraping across the floor in the gallery. Then Judge Vance spoke, her voice measured but carrying the absolute weight of judicial authority. "Counselor, I have reviewed the Palmetto Ridge Community Association CC and RS, particularly Section 4.1, which mandates review for structural modification, addition, or reconstruction. I also note the association's argument that the cause of the destruction is irrelevant. The judge adjusted her glasses, a tiny, almost imperceptible smirk playing on her lips. I agree. The cause is irrelevant. What is relevant is that the association, represented here by Ms. Brenda and her counsel, believes they possess the necessary expertise to evaluate a construction project resulting from, and I quote from the police report, an uncontrolled, low-altitude, high-speed impact event involving a fixed-wing Cessna 172 Skyhawk. Brenda shifted uneasily. The atmosphere in the room had changed entirely. The judge delivered the final, magnificent counterdame. I find for the petitioner, Mr. Alex. She slammed the gavel thwack, and the sound was the most satisfying noise I had ever heard. Furthermore, given the unprecedented nature of this reconstruction, and the association's insistence that their review is mandatory regardless of circumstance, the court determines that the Palmetto Ridge Community Association must possess the relevant technical knowledge to assess such damages and construction plans. She paused, letting the implications sink in. Therefore, I order that Ms. Brenda, as the representative signatory for the Homeowners Association along with the entire Architectural Review Board, immediately enroll in and successfully complete a certified ground school for private pilots, including all relevant physics and accident investigation modules. They may not impede Mr. Alex's reconstruction until all members have provided proof of course completion. Case dismissed. Brenda's face went white. Her lawyer looked like a fish gasping for air. The look of utter, humiliating defeat on her face was pure, unadulterated karma. It was a bitter end for Karen, forced to confront the harsh reality that controlling your neighbor's bushes is a lot different from understanding Bernoulli's principle. As I walked out, the judge's ruling ringing in my ears, I realized that true justice isn't just about winning. It's about making the people who abuse power learn exactly why they were wrong. My house may have been wrecked, but the principle of common sense, thanks to one incredible judge, was rebuilt stronger than ever. Isn't it wonderful when the universe serves up a flying lesson?